new deadly shooting by ICE agents in Minnesota, and a clear and growing backlash to what people are seeing on the video coming out, there's also new data suggesting that support for the agency is falling even further. CNN's Harry Anson's running the numbers on this. Harry, how much has changed in terms of ICE and then versus now?
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that President Trump is sending Tom Homan in, because ICE, DHS, Christine Noem have been a political disaster. Because just take a look here. I mean, ICE's net approval rating during Trump's term. You go back to term number 1. Look, it was even at 0 points. You go to June 2025, right? That was when all that stuff was going on in Los Angeles. They dropped down. Look at this, minus 17 points. But then after Minneapolis, it's even lower, minus 27 points on the net approval rating of ICE. Of course, this all being done under Christine Noem. So, no, what's going on in Minneapolis is not popular at all. What's been going on during this second term under ICE, under the Trump administration, has very much not been popular, and it's only been getting more and more unpopular.
What about DHS, kind of more broad?
Yeah, okay, so we're going to start down low. We'll start with ICE, and then we'll raise it to DHS. And again, it's just the same exact story, right? DHS is doing an excellent or good job in the Department of Homeland Security. During Trump's first term, look where it was in late 2017, right about this point. 59%, that's pretty gosh darn good. But look at where it is now in Trump term number 2. By late last year, it was down to 42%. So this is the same story that we're seeing no matter which poll question you look at. The popularity of ICE, of DHS, has completely fallen under the second Trump term, the second Trump administration. What we were seeing during Trump's term number 1 was, hey, ICE, DHS, pretty popular, certainly not unpopular, but all the actions in Minneapolis, in Los Angeles, in these major American cities have been very much rejected by the American people. It has been a political disaster for the second Trump administration.
And now, I mean, as Berman was just reading what the president was just sending out, he's now sending in Tom Homan, as borders are into Minnesota, which leads to questions of what about the leadership of the Secretary of Homeland Security, who has inserted herself very publicly to be kind of front and center in all of these operations.
Yeah, as I said at the top, I just think there's a real reason for it. And as Christine Noem, simply put, Kate, has not been popular, and everything she's done for the most part has not been popular. I mean, just look at her net approval rating. In July of 2025, it was minus 11 points. It's actually gotten more unpopular now at minus 60 points. I look at every single poll that has been conducted on Christine Noem's popularity. Every single one, the net approval rating has been negative. ICE is negative. DHS is negative. As I said at the top, Kate, this has been an absolute political disaster.
So, guys, I actually saw that. Thanks for watching SpinCycle, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. But anyway, I actually saw the video of the guy who got shot in Minnesota. The good lady was one thing, but then I saw the guy who got shot in Minnesota. Thank you. Support my journey. Thank you. I mean, it's just crazy. Shooting the guy in the back. Yeah, he was carrying a gun, but that's what we're all about in the U.S., right? We're allowed to carry guns in the United States of America. And you shouldn't be shot in the back for carrying a gun in the United States of America. A 37-year-old guy, a nurse, however you feel about male nurses or whatever. Nurses are usually very fine people. They look after other people. I know the nurses that looked after my mom in the last years of her life were great, Nurses I've dealt with, I don't go to the hospital very much, knock wood, right? Thank God. But if I did, I'd want a good nurse. But, and just taking a guy's life at 37 years old because he was protesting. I mean, those ICE guys are basically just thugs. They shouldn't even be out on the streets like that. We're not a militarized country. We don't have a Gestapo in our country. We have the Constitution in our country, and they are breaking the Constitution every day out there. It's just fucking crazy. I mean, I don't live in Minnesota. I live in Colorado, not too far away, but and I live in rural Colorado, and obviously, by the way I look, I probably wouldn't get harassed by those guys. But I mean, that guy looked like me, you know, younger, but he looked like me for sure. I can't remember his name. We need ICE, but ICE should be on the borders. They don't need to be running around the streets of Minnesota. I mean, the only border Minnesota's close to is Canada, and there's nobody crossing in from Canada, despite what you've heard. Maybe some Chinese spies and stuff, but they're going to get in anyway, you know, with or without. These people that they're going after are people who are on, you know, on the bottom rung of society, just working manual labor jobs, washing cars, washing dishes, you know, working in kitchens, just trying to make it because, you know, there's no opportunity to make money in their own country, in Mexico. I've traveled all over the world, you know. I spent a lot of time in the Philippines. That's where I am right now, actually. And, you know, there's no opportunity in these countries to make money, and the U.S. is the land of opportunity. Real shit, that's right. Yeah, the Rachel Good, is that her name? Making the 3-point turn. I mean, that guy's a fucking pussy. He thought she was running him over. I mean, and he shot her 4 times. That's what the autopsy says, 4 times. Now he shot her. He needs to go to prison, or at the very least, he doesn't need to be running around the streets of America with a gun. Of course you're in the Philippines. Fuck ICE. They've not shot anyone that didn't give them shit, but is giving somebody shit in the United States of America just cause to shoot them? No. If you shoot somebody because they give you shit and you're not wearing an ICE badge, you're going to prison. America. I'm not scared of America. Kill shot was the 3rd shot. For which one? Miss Good or the second guy? I look like the bad guy from... I take that as a compliment. The first Avatar? I love that guy. He's a great bad guy. But, you know, I was also cheering when she... What was it, a spear she plunged through his heart or something like that? Or he did? Who's anti-Israel with me? I'm definitely not pro-Israel. I don't think we should be sending all that money to Israel. I think Israel should take care of their own asses. People in Israel have free health care. I have to pay $150 a month for my health care. I know that's a lot of you guys are going to say that's nothing, but I don't use it. I don't go to the doctor. I went to the doctor once in the past, like, 10 years. I mean, a couple times. I went to get, you know, I had to go during COVID because I'm a federal worker, and I also had to go when I, you know, got my EMT. Well, that was almost 10 years ago at work, because you have to get a certain amount of vaccinations to become an EMT. But I mean, the last time I was at the doctor because I was injured was with a hernia, and that was covered by workman's comp because I was working when I got it. But what you mean, Johnson? I don't know what that means. Said hi. Federal worker, you say? Yeah, I'm a ranger. Is my gig. When I'm in the U.S., I'm on furlough right now. Not like the government shutdown furlough. I'm like a career seasonal worker that gets furloughed. But I didn't get fired because I'm... Hold on 1 second. Anyway, yeah, I'm on regular furlough. I didn't get fired when... Go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed. When all the people got fired when Trump took over, because like, just like during COVID, I was an essential worker. I'm a ranger. I don't do any of that, you know. I'm out there, you know, in the forest, in the mountains, taking care of stuff, doing work. I know everybody says federal workers don't work, don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yeah, I make more than 24 an hour, but it took me, 15 years to get there. For or against ICE? For ICE on the border, I'm against ICE being Trump's personal military force to enforce his, political views, basically. Thank you, President Trump. Trump's kind of an old dotard at this point, isn't he? You seen pictures of him lately? It looks like he's gonna keel over any minute. Fuck ICE, yeah, fuck ICE. I mean, ICE was created after 9/11, right? The whole Department of Homeland Security was created after 9/11. And it was good. We needed something like that then, and we still do. Border Patrol is not ICE. Yeah, I know, they're the same department. But ICE used to be something else before they were ICE. But, I mean, ICE is, they're breaking the Constitution. They're unconstitutionally kicking in people's doors. If somebody's here in the United States and they're working in the kitchen, washing dishes, if they're here legally and not, if they're not a lawbreaker, which remember Trump said, he said a lot of stuff he lied about for all you, Trump sycophants out there. He, said he was going to bring down prices on day one. I'll give him gas is down, but housing, food is definitely not down. Yep, INS, thank you. Immigration and Naturalization. So yeah, and you guys who are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I make regular videos about politics and stuff like that. You can go and watch them. A lot of you Trump fans probably won't like what I have to say about Trump, but I'm really just telling the truth. I grew up in New York. If you speak to any New Yorker around my age, a Gen Xer, that knew Trump before he was running for president or anything, nobody liked him in New York. He was just like a show-off, trying to get in the newspaper as much as he could. $36 trillion. What's that, our deficit now? Not that bad. What color is my toothbrush? White and green, I think. I respect you too. I respect everybody. Oh, hell no. Nobody ever thought Trump would become. Most people that I grew up with thought of Trump back then as a clown who inherited a bunch of money from his dad and lost it in casinos and hotels. Yeah, the first 4 years he was a clown, now he's a scary clown. Opinions are like assholes, everybody's got one, true. I mean, I don't think Trump's evil, I just think that he's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. He's completely self-centered. He doesn't care about poor people, or most MAGA. He could give a shit about MAGA. And that's the hilarious thing, is they think that Trump cares about them and their everyday problems. I think a lot of MAGA is starting to find out that that isn't the case. Yo, from Ireland, what's up? Irish knows. I got like 10% Irish in me. No, I disagree. I don't think Trump is evil. I don't think he has, I don't think he's, okay, well maybe he's evil deceitful, but he's not evil like devilish evil, you know. He's just narcissistic and sociopathic evil. Like he doesn't even realize that he's evil. But I the pedophile stuff I think is evil, you know what I mean? But he probably didn't think it was evil when he was doing it. He probably just thought, oh, I'm rich, I'm this, I deserve to, you know, have sex with 13-year-old girls if I want to. I don't like J.D. Vance. You know, J.D. Vance said, well, 10 years ago that, you know, he said terrible things about Trump. He's just a, you know, somebody who acts like whatever he needs to act like to get more power. Trump was good before he married to his wife. Yeah, I don't think so. You know Trump don't give a fuck about us little people, but you still support his policy. What policy do you support? His healthcare policy? What healthcare policy? I mean, his policy to build a big ballroom? Okay, immigration, yeah. He did good on immigration. And, you know, Biden was an idiot. I'm not, if you guys are thinking that I'm a Biden guy, I'm not. I was a Bernie Sanders guy. You know, I'm more progressive than anything else. And by progressive, I think that, you know, we need less billionaires. All the money's accumulating at in the 1% right now. That's why we have Trump. Trump is a symptom of the disease of, you know, money inequality or just inequality. Just like in, you know, the golden age, the 1920s, the money's accumulating at the top and eventually it's going to burst. The problem with a capitalist system is the system we have is easily gained by people who already have money. Nepo babies, you know. Whether you like it or not, Trump and Musk are Nepo babies. They were both born wealthy. You know, they were both born with a leg up. If you're like me and you're born to a single mom on welfare with 5 kids, you're born already in debt. You know, where Trump was born and before he turned 1 year old, he had $1 million in the bank. Inflation is the tool of money transfer. It's one tool of money transfer. I mean, there's a lot of tools of money transfer. I mean, credit card interest is a tool of money transfer. That's, you know, crazy interest. What it is right now, 20% or something like that. 20 people are paying 26.99% credit card interest. Yeah, why are you paying? How much is a quarter pounder? Sorry, the print is so small on the phone. I sometimes do on my computer, but my internet's too slow here. It's much easier and faster just to do it on my phone. But on the computer, I could share the screen and everything. That's kind of nice. Antonio Banderas. I've heard that before. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. I was not a big fan of his version of Zorro, but my mom, you know, who had me when she was like 40, she died in 2021 at like the age 90. She loved the original Zorro. I don't know who was the guy in it or anything, but I watched that so many times when I was a kid. But I do like the Antonio Banderas movie, The 13 Warriors or something like that. That was a good movie. Yeah, wealth transfer is a big problem. I mean, did I hear Japanese PM dissolve the House of Representatives? No, I didn't. But I know the Japanese are in a recession right now, and they're having lots of money problems, and they are. You know, I can't remember the whole story, but the Japanese had bought a lot of dollars to offset the yen, and now they're selling off their dollars because the U.S. is unstable. Eddie Van Halen. I was a huge Van Halen fan when I was a kid. Diver Down, that came out. You know, that's the one I remember like coming out. The rest came out before I really listened to music, but I think that was the last album with David Lee Roth, and then you had Van Hagar, which, you know, was good too, but in a different way, not like the heavy metal David Lee Roth Van Halen. Why? No idea. Yeah, the first female PM. She's right wing and she dissolved parliament. In Japan? No. I don't follow Japan politics. There it is.
It's amazing how something special little moments with special.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi dissolved the lower house of parliament today, paving the way for an early election. Takaichi has been in office for only 3 months, but has seen strong approval ratings of about 70%. Experts believe the move could be an attempt to capitalize on her popularity, helping the governing party regain ground after major losses in recent years. Takaichi is the country's first female leader. The vote will also delay parliamentary approval for a budget aiming to boost Japan's economy and address soaring prices.
私自身も内閣総理大臣としての進退をかけます。高市早苗に国家経営を託していただけるのか、国民の皆様に。
Yeah, there you have it. I guess I didn't watch the news today. Yeah, Japan is selling the dollar. They're selling off their interest in the dollar, like a lot of countries are now, and they're moving to gold. I mean, I don't know if Japan's moved to gold, but a lot of countries are, you know, putting gold in reserve instead of the dollar because they don't trust the dollar right now, mostly because of Trump. Japan needs the sun again. So here I have an informal question. So that she's the first prime minister of Japan, right? First female. When do you think we'll have the first female president in the United States? I don't think it's going to be in 2028. My personal opinion, I don't think most Americans are ready for a female president. So that informally, go ahead and comment. What do you guys think about that? When do you think we'll have our first female president? And on that same note, who do you think is most likely to be president of the United States after the next election? It's not going to be Trump. Never, never. You must be a Trump. Because Trump is destabilizing the world economy and NATO and the dollar. His tariffs are destabilizing the dollar, his tariff war. That's why I think, and it's not me who thinks that, it's true because of Trump. Other nations are looking for, you know, another currency to reserve aside from the US dollar, because the US dollar is getting less stable. It's not all Trump, it's the inequality in our country and a lot of other things, but Signs? Wasn't Signs Mel Gibson? Wouldn't you prefer to go back to the gold standard? I mean, I don't think we could go back to the gold standard. I don't think there's enough gold to go back to the gold standard. I would have to look into that, though. What you have for supper? Well, if you just came on, I'm in the Philippines right now. I have a fiance and a baby here. That's why I'm here. And she made something called tinola. It's like chicken soup, but instead of like potatoes and carrots, they use like unripe papaya. It's really good. But yeah, that's what I had for dinner. What up, B Frank? How you doing? If you guys are new, go ahead and subscribe. I got a couple more minutes and then I gotta go. But we're talking politics. Who do you guys think is going to be the next president of the United States? That's my question. Who do you want to be the next president of the United States? You can't say Trump. Because Trump, first of all, he can't serve 3 terms no matter what he says. And he might, I mean, there's a good chance he's not going to be alive. That's just the fact. Chuck Norris. Isn't Chuck Norris older than Trump? Or you mean I look like Chuck Norris? I am going to be president. Chuck Norris for president. I was a huge Chuck Norris fan when I was a kid. You know, in the 80s, he was probably my favorite action star, beside Bruce Lee, but there wasn't any more Bruce Lee movies to watch because he died, you know, in like the late 70s, I think. I mean, Bruce Lee was everybody's favorite, right? So I think there's a good chance that probably a progressive Democrat is going to win in 2028. And I don't think it'll be AOC. I don't really want AOC, but I wouldn't mind somebody like Jon Stewart running for president. Before you laugh about it, Donald Trump's the current president. That's all I have to say. Yeah, I love Jackie Chan too, but you know, I mean, Jackie Chan made different kinds of movies. A lot of his movies were like comedy, or at least what I remember Jackie Chan for mostly is like, you know, the Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan movies, which were great and hilarious, but more like comedy, not like, you know, Chuck Norris movies. I love like, and this might say something about my personality, but I love like revenge movies, you know, like every Taken movie, all those kinds of movies. I don't know why, but I do love those movies. Do I pinch my electric? No, not really. I got the AC on right now. Why? Because it's dark in here? Am I living underneath the ground? No. I live in the Philippines at the beach. Part of the year, and then part of the year I live in Colorado. Here. I'll give you guys a quick glance out my backyard here. The reason I live in the Philippines is I was a seasonal worker most of my life, you know, and now I'm a seasonal ranger, but I'm a career seasonal, and I got that gig about 15 years ago. So I've always traveled in the winters, and you know, I used to go to South America and stuff, and in 2019 I started coming to the Philippines in the winter, and then I discovered just how inexpensive it is here, you know, and it's, you know, for somebody like me who makes a middle-class salary, out the mud hut. Yeah, I'm not really in a mud hut, I'm in a regular house, but is that the river near? That's the ocean. It's the South China Sea. Milkfish, yeah. Bongos, they call them milkfish. That's like that's good fish, actually. I eat tons of fish here. It helps keep me healthy. I buy fish from my neighbors. They're all fishermen. They do live in like huts, but I have a regular house. Most of the houses here are like made of concrete with metal roofs. That's kind of what I live in. This house is big, actually. I have this office part, and then I have like an apartment part where my fiance and my baby are, and then I have like a solar where I keep like my sup boards and kayaks and stuff, and it has a dirty kitchen and a regular kitchen, which is a dirty kitchen in the Philippines is like an outdoor kitchen. Mike's fired, don't be cold. Live in the ground, man. Well, I didn't move. I still live in Colorado. I just live here part of the year. Cheap living and beautiful. Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, there's beautiful women everywhere. I've been all over the world, and there's nowhere in the world you can't go as an American and meet beautiful women. But the Philippines, they're beautiful and they're accommodating. They're really traditional. You know, they love to take care of you. And so you're rich? No, I'm not rich. I look Iranian. I'm half Italian and half. My mother was all Italian and my father was Scottish, Irish, and German. Have I ever bought pepperoni? I grew up in Long Island, New York, so I don't like pepperoni. In fact, I'd always be the one peeling my pepperoni off the pizza. I prefer like sausage, but my favorite pizza is a New York slice of just regular cheese pizza. No, I'm too young for the Vietnam War. I was born towards the end of it. Did I run away from the war? What war? Yeah, no, I never lived in Vietnam, but I've been there. I've been to all these Southeast Asia countries, and they're all awesome. It's just that I met a girl here in the Philippines. In fact, I like Thailand a little better, but the Philippines is bigger and has more mountains and more beaches and stuff. But Thailand has it's cheaper, nicer hotels, and better food. Have I ever been in a fight? Yeah, but it's been a long time. Let's see, I was in a fight in the lunchroom in high school when a kid made fun of my little brother for having a free lunch pass. And it lasted like 3 seconds before the teachers broke it up. And then one time when I was a little older, like 16 or 17, me and two of my friends got into a fight with some drunk guy in the street who pulled out a chain and started. Luckily, we ducked from the chain, and my friend, this is a funny story. This is my best friend growing up, and he watched this channel a little, so I'm not going to say his name, but he was the best fighter I ever knew and super athletic. He was a black guy. But he did a roundhouse kick. You know, we always practice karate and shit. We were like 17 at the time, but he practiced a lot. He did a roundhouse kick, hit this guy in the chest, and we were outdoor in the city, you know, I don't know if you're familiar, like in New York City, they have these outdoor staircases that go down to apartments, and we were standing right in front of those, and he did this roundhouse kick, landed in the guy's chest, and the guy fell down the stairs, hit the door, and like started wailing like in pain, and we ran. And that was another fight I was in, but I guess I wasn't really in that fight because I just ducked from the chain, and then my buddy kicked him. And I was in a bar fight one time in college, which, I don't even remember what happened. We were all drunk, and somebody started fighting, and most gangsta fight. Don't forget to send me your old shoes. He lost, yeah, he did. It was pretty intense. We grew up fast in New York back then in the 80s, man, as kids. It was a dangerous place. You know, that was the days of Bernie Getz and all that stuff. And, you know, crack was the supreme drug. Don't talk about villains and violence. Okay, guys, anyway, there's a bunch of people on here now, but I do have to go. And go ahead and write in the comments. No super chats today? Come on, guys. Go ahead and write in the comments who you think's going to be president and in 2028. Just take a guess. And I'll be on another live again soon. You guys subscribe, hit that bell so you know when I'm doing another live, and I will see you next time.